Position properties. CSS helps you to position your HTML element. You can put any HTML element at whatever location you like. You can specify whether you want the element positioned to its natural position in the page or in the bottom corner of the web page. Elements are positioned using the top, bottom, left, and right properties. However, these properties will not work unless the position property is set first in the element CSS. So there are 5 main values of the position property: static, relative, absolute, fixed, sticky. The first position we are going to see is static position. HTML elements are positioned static by default. Static positioned elements are not affected by the top, bottom, left, and right properties in the CSS. In short, they are always positioned according to the normal flow of the page. Let's see an example. Let's delete all these code first and implement the position properties one by one. I am going to create 2 division element and give some height and width for more clarification and assign static position to them. Let's see the output. Let's set the value for left property in the CSS. Still same because it is not affected by left property. Now you may have seen some space between the starting of the page and red border of division. This is because of the default margin attached to the body tag of web page. There are many HTML elements that are provided with default padding and margin such as paragraph, alt tag, heading tags and many more. We should remove margin and padding to understand the position properties more clearly. This step should be followed not only for this tutorial but every time you create a new web page, otherwise it will create issues in your design and responsiveness. We can remove this default margin and padding using universal selector of the CSS. Let's see how. Declare a universal selector. Set the margin and padding value to 0. Great. Now we won't see any margin and space. The next position property is relative. Relative position behaves the same as static position unless you add some extra properties. Extra properties means using left, right, top and bottom properties. Let's delete all these code. Setting the top, right, bottom, and left properties of a relatively positioned element will cause it to be adjusted away from its normal position. Let's see an example. Let's create and set the position value of this toClass to relative. Let's see the output. It's same as static position. Let's use the left property in one of the class and see the output. See, it is affected by left property and moved left by assigned value. Let's use top property. Great. The next position property is absolute. An HTML element with position absolute is positioned at the specified position relative to the parent. That means it checks for the parent element whose position property is anything except static and behave accordingly to the values used. Let's see the example for more clarification. I am creating two classes, name parent and child. Let's assign some height, width, and border to it. I am using position relative property for parent class and position absolute for child class. Let's create a division element and assign the class named parent to it. Inside the division element, let's create another division element and assign the class named child to it. Let's see the output. See, its position is according to the parent element as I have told. Let's change the position to bottom corner of the parent. However, if an absolute positioned element has no parent element, then it uses the document body as a parent and position itself according to body tag. Let's delete the parent division and see the output. Great. Let's undo the changes. The next position is fixed. Fixed positioning allows you to fix the position of an element to a particular spot on the page and it always stays in the same place even if the page is scrolled. We can use top, right, bottom, and left properties to position the fixed element on the web page. Let's see an example. Let's create a division element and set the position of the division element in the bottom right corner of the screen. Set the height of body larger so that the page can be scrollable. Great. Even if we scroll the page, the fixed element is fixed in the corner. The last position property is sticky. An element with position sticky will behave like a relatively positioned element until it reaches a specified point and then starts behaving like a statically positioned element. The best way to learn this is to see the example. Create our division with position sticky and set the top value to 0. What is happening here is the sticky element sticks to the top of the page, when you reach its scroll position which is top 0. It decrements the top value when we scroll. As soon as we reach to top 0, it gets stuck to the top. As we scroll up, the top value is increment, and when top value is greater than 0, then it acts as positioned relative. Let's change the top value to greater than 0. Great. The stick E position is mostly used for making menu in the website. But please note that position stick E is not supported in Internet Explorer and earlier versions of other browsers. The best way to understand the CSS position property is by practice. Keep coding until you have a better understanding, or else comment below to get your answer.